There are moments when life feels heavier than it should, not in a dramatic, catastrophic way, but in the quiet, persistent ache that follows you from room to room. You wake up already tired, move through the day with a strange weight in the chest, and everything that used to feel simple suddenly feels sharp. Pain doesn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes it slips in through the cracks, through a disappointment you brushed off, through a truth you avoided, through the exhaustion you pretended wasn't there. Life doesn't always shout its lessons. More often, it whispers through discomfort. When everything hurts, life is not punishing you. It's trying to get your attention. Pain is a messenger, one we often mute. We label it as stress, as overthinking, as being dramatic, because facing the real reason feels too big, too inconvenient, too vulnerable. But pain is rarely random. It points, it signals, it insists on being felt. Life tries to show you where you've been carrying too much, where you've been insisting on being strong for too long, where you've been hoping things would magically get better without changing anything, where you've been silent about a truth that needs a voice. Pain is not the enemy, avoidance is. Sometimes everything hurts because you've stayed where your soul has already left. A place, a relationship, a routine, a version of yourself. You keep pretending it still fits, but life keeps tugging at the seams, trying to tell you that you've outgrown something you're still trying to shrink into. Growth often begins as pain, not because change is cruel, but because holding on to what's no longer yours requires effort your heart can't sustain forever. Life tries to show you the truth through exhaustion, not the physical kind, the emotional kind that drains your ability to feel joy, clarity, or belonging. When everything hurts, it may be life saying, "You're not listening to yourself." Sometimes everything hurts because you've been ignoring a decision that you've rehearsed 1,000 times in your mind, but never allowed into the real world. A truth that wants to be lived, not just acknowledged. Life tries to show you when something needs to end, when a cycle has completed, when a chapter is ready to close. Endings hurt, not because they're wrong, but because we resist them. We confuse familiarity with safety. We cling to what comforts us, even when it numbs us. But life doesn't operate on comfort. It operates on honesty, and honesty is rarely painless. Sometimes everything hurts because you've abandoned yourself while trying to hold everything else together. You've said yes when you were breaking. You've been available when you needed rest. You've given understanding without receiving it. You've carried other people's weight while pretending you had none of your own. Life tries to show you where you disappeared, where your boundaries dissolved, where your needs became optional. When the heart hurts, it's often reminding you, come back. You left yourself behind. Sometimes everything hurts because an old wound has resurfaced, not to punish you, but to heal. Wounds return when they're ready to be understood differently, with more maturity, more compassion, more clarity than before. Life tries to show you what still asks for closure, what still echoes in your reactions, what still shapes your decisions unconsciously. Pain is the mind lifting something from the dark so that you can finally see it in the light. Healing is not comfortable. It is honest. When everything hurts, life also tries to show you who stays, who notices your silence, who asks twice if you're okay, who meets your heaviness without judgment. Pain reveals the authenticity of your connections, not by exposing who leaves, but by illuminating who remains. Sometimes, in the hardest moments, life whispers, "This person is safe. This one is not." Both truths hurt, but both are necessary. Pain also tries to show you the strength you forget you have, not the dramatic kind, not the performative kind, but the quiet endurance that carried you through every ending you thought would break you, the resilience that rebuilt you in silence, the clarity that always returns once the chaos settles. Life tries to remind you that you've survived things you once believed were impossible, that you've grown from moments that once brought you to your knees, that you are not fragile, only tired. And tired people don't need pressure, they need presence. What life tries to show you, most of all, when everything hurts, is this. Something needs attention, something needs honesty, something needs rest, something needs to be released, something needs to be understood, something needs to change. Pain is clarity in disguise. It is the body saying, not this anymore. It is the heart saying, I need something different. It is life saying, you're allowed to choose yourself. You don't have to decode everything today. You don't have to fix anything immediately. You don't have to force clarity before it arrives naturally. But you can pause, you can listen, you can soften the grip on what's hurting you. You can let the truth come slowly, without fear. Because when life hurts, it's not ending something. It's guiding you back to yourself. If you stayed until here, it probably means something in this pain is familiar. Not because you want it, but because you've been carrying it longer than anyone knows. So, this second part is not about understanding pain with the mind. It's about listening to it with honesty, at your own pace, without pressure. Start by noticing your breath, not trying to slow it down, just observing it. Notice how your chest moves. Notice the tension that rises when you think about what hurts. Notice the part of your body that reacts first. Pain speaks through sensation, and you've been fluent in ignoring those sensations for years. Ask yourself gently, what part of me is hurting more than I've allowed myself to see? Let the first feeling come. You don't need to justify it. You don't need to minimize it. You don't need to explain why it exists. Just acknowledge it. Now think about the last time you felt like yourself, not the polished version, the real one, the one who breathes deeper, laughs easier, feels lighter. What changed between that moment and now? What truth have you been stepping over? Which weight became normal, even though it still hurts? Sometimes pain is not a warning. It's a memory resurfacing, asking to be honored instead of forgotten. Ask yourself, what have I been asking myself to endure that no longer feels fair? Maybe it's a responsibility that drains you. Maybe it's a silence inside a relationship. Maybe it's a version of your life that doesn't fit anymore. Maybe it's your own expectation of being okay all the time. Just name it internally. Naming is not weakness. It's recognition. Now consider this. What if the pain is not trying to break you, but trying to redirect you? Think about all the moments you stayed somewhere long after your heart had already left. Think about the conversations you postponed because you feared their consequences. Think about the boundaries you softened so that others wouldn't feel discomfort. Pain often begins where self-abandonment begins. Ask yourself, where have I abandoned myself in the name of keeping peace? You don't need to judge the answer. Just see it. Now think about the decision you've been avoiding, the one that returns at night, the one your body reacts to before your mind even thinks it through, the one you've been rehearsing silently for months or years. Ask yourself, what would happen if I finally listened to that decision, not acted on it, just listened? Let the possibility sit in your chest for a moment. Feel the mixture of fear and relief. Notice how relief always whispers beneath fear. It always does. Now, shift your attention to the relationships in your life. Not with judgment, not with blame, just with clarity. Who feels like effort? Who feels like home? Who drains you even in silence? Who meets you where you are? Who only shows up when they need something from you? Pain often amplifies these dynamics. Ask yourself, who stays when everything hurts? And who disappears? The answer is not meant to shame or punish anyone. It's meant to show you where your heart is safe and where it tries too hard for too little. Now bring your attention back to yourself. Ask gently, what part of me has been asking for rest, and what part of me keeps refusing it? Maybe you've been running from your own emotions. Maybe you've been numbing instead of healing. Maybe you've been pretending to be okay, so no one worries. Maybe you've been carrying other people's weight in addition to your own. What would rest look like for me? Emotionally, not physically. Would it look like saying no? Would it look like admitting you're tired? Would it look like stopping a pattern that hurts you? Would it look like no longer fighting for someone who doesn't fight back? Would it look like asking for help? You don't need to take action today. You just need to see the answer clearly. Now imagine the pain you feel as a small child. Not to diminish it, but to understand it. What does this version of your pain look like? What does it need? What has it been trying to tell you for months or years? Approach it gently. Pain softens when met with compassion, not control. Now ask yourself one final question, slowly. What truth is life trying to show me through this pain that I've been too afraid to look at? Let the answer arrive quietly. It doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need to be complete. It doesn't need to be perfect. Whatever rises, that's the beginning of clarity. That's the first soft exhale. That's the moment the pain shifts from chaos to guidance, because pain, when listened to, becomes direction. And even if everything hurts right now, you're not breaking. You are awakening. This video is part of a daily path, a space to reflect when everything feels heavy, to see what life has been quietly trying to show you, and to return to yourself with gentleness. Tomorrow brings another chapter, another reflection, another quiet pause. If it feels right, come back. We'll continue together, one day at a time. This is Form Within Mind, where calm takes shape.